All eyes on the Lone Star State as they have been for a lot of the 2023 season. We start the Rizzo report with a couple of matchups that should be incredibly interesting. And we will start with the Rangers and the Astros. The two Texas teams open up a 3-game set in Houston tonight. John Gray is on the mound for the Texas Rangers. The Astros come into the series having won 14 of their last 21 games, including taking 3 of 4 from the A's over the weekend. The red-hot Kyle Tucker hitting .400 with 7 home runs, 25 RBI. Over that span, the Rangers lost 2 of 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend, but are still 7-2 since the All-Star break. They also lose Corey Seager to a right thumb sprain. He is supposed to be on the IL for about 2 weeks. The Astros do lead the season series, though, 4-3 so far. You can see the inside the season series pretty similar as far as that goes. 3-4 as far as the wins. You can see the runs per game and the OPS of their collective bats. The Reds and the Brewers, another great series to keep an eye on. Of course, these two teams battling for it in the NL Central. It seems like all they do is play each other lately. These teams will meet for the 3rd series since July 7th. The Brewers took 2 of 3 in Milwaukee right before the All-Star break before sweeping the Reds in Cincinnati in the first 3 games afterwards. The Brewers currently hold a half-game lead over the Reds in the NL Central. Graham Ashcraft will oppose Colin Ray in the opener of the series. That's in Milwaukee tonight. The Reds come into the series on a 5-game winning streak. Now, rookie Matt McLain has led the offense, hitting .423. with 3 home runs, 9 runs scored, 6 RBI over his last 7 games. The Brewers lost 2 of 3 to the Braves over the weekend, but they are still 9-4 over their last 13 games. Former MVP Christian Yelich having another MVP type of season. He's hitting .351, 15 extra base hits, 22 runs, and 21 stakes over his last 24 games. By the way, Christian Yelich has now had 10 years of service time. Congratulations to him. He is fully vested. That, my friends, is a big deal. Phillies and the Orioles. We talked about the O's a lot earlier in the show, and of course we had Bill Ripken on the program as well. The first place Orioles just took 3 of 4 games from the Rays to take a 2-game lead over Tampa in the division. Overall, the Orioles are 12-3 in their last 15 games while averaging 6 runs per game over that span. The kids have been the key to the Orioles during the stretch. Gunnar Henderson hitting .291 with 5 home runs, 13 RBI in his last 14 games, while Adley Rutschman has an .890 OPS during a 10-game on-base streak. And like I said, don't sleep on Ryan O'Hearn. He's a big key in that cog. The Phillies ended their 4-game losing streak with a victory over the Guardians yesterday. Bryce Harper's bat has been solid for the Phillies, hitting .323 with 7 extra base hits, 12 runs scored over his last 18 games. Dean Kramer will face Christopher Sanchez in the opener of the 3-game series in Philadelphia tonight, Chris. But I want to go back to the Rangers and the Astros. You had a conversation with Bill Ripken earlier today just about the fact that even though the Rangers have had the better record and the better production in 2023, Billy seems to think that the Astros are still the team to beat in the AL West. What do both of these teams need to do, in your opinion, at the break to solidify what they're trying to do this season?
Pitching, and more pitching. Texas needs some pitching. Their 7th inning is terrible. They got, I mean, Chapman, it was a great move, but they need more, and I think they will try to get that, and Houston could use a big pitcher too. They lost some pitchers here, of course, with injuries. McCullers. They lost 2 or 3. They've lost some pitching. I'm not brain locked. And Javier's pitched badly lately, and Valdez has been hurt a little bit, so they need some pitching as well. They need to get Alvarez back in that lineup. He's been on a rehab assignment. Altuve's barely played all year, and Brantley hasn't played since last August. And it sounds like he might be relatively close. But I trust the Astros. I trust their winning culture. There are only 3 out. out. They play only one more time. And I think both will be in the playoffs. I think Texas will figure out a way to get there. I wouldn't guarantee Texas win the division. I could see Houston winning that division with what they do in the last 2 months. But I think more significant for Texas to win the division than the Astros. The Astros, if they had to get to the World Series via wild card, they could. I think Texas psychologically needs to win the division. They've been leading all year. I think they need to fulfill that the rest of the next 50, 60 games and win that American League West. Good series, both series, Reds and Brewers, and Texas and Houston, a good series this week.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, too, about the Reds and the Brewers. Now, when you think of the Brewers, you think of pitching. You also think of experience. This is a team that perennially is in the postseason, with the exception of last year. I believe they had made it 4 straight years. The Reds are a young team. There is some veteran leadership on the team, of course, with Joey Votto, but the Reds are young. The Brewers are not. What do those two teams need to do to move forward, perhaps, and win that division in the NL Central? What are they doing at the deadline?
Well, the Brewers need some offense, as they always do. Tellez hasn't played. He got the 15 stitches in his finger. They will need him back. Yelich just had a good year. Woodward coming back will help. He hasn't pitched since April. We haven't seen him, and he sounds like he's not that far off. Reds need some pitching. I mean, the Reds need some bullpen help. Though Diaz has had a great year closing, but they need a starting pitcher. And it'll be interesting to see what the Reds do. They drew well this weekend against Arizona, around 30,000 a ball game. They've bounced back. They were in a little trouble. They had lost 6 in a row. They beat 2 from the Giants and swept the Diamondbacks, who are terrible right now. So the Reds got their equilibrium back. But I think that front office needs to show the guys in the clubhouse that they respect the idea that they have won, and they put themselves in a situation, so they need to add on from a psychological standpoint. And Milwaukee, after dealing Hader last year, which caused a major problem in that clubhouse, they need to add on too. So I think both teams will be active in the buying department by the end of the week. I think Milwaukee will end up winning the division. I think the Reds will have a chance to get the wild card in the National League.
Yeah, I thought Milwaukee would win the division. I picked that at the beginning of the season. Devin Williams has been tremendous in Josh Hader's absence. All-star this year for the Brewers closer.